Everyone loves talking about Steven Singer, my good friend Steven Singer. You've heard the expression a million times. I hate Steven Singer because most other jewelers hate him. They can't stand the guy. Why, you ask? Because Steven Singer delivers the best quality, real diamond jewelry at the very best possible price every single day. He makes it so easy to buy real diamond jewelry for someone you love. And he makes it fun. Yeah, I'm not kidding. No phony sales, discounts, or pricing games. Steven wouldn't treat his friends any other way. So why would he treat you differently? Steven Singer. He's a jeweler you can trust. Steven also has the best guarantee in the jewelry business, a full 100-day, 100% money-back guarantee, plus fast, free shipping all year long. Experience the difference. Visit our good friend Steven Singer in his showroom at the other corner of 8th and Walnut in Philly, or more conveniently online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Real, natural, rare, earth-born diamonds from a real jeweler you can trust. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. That's IHateStevenSinger.com.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it indeed is the Anthony Cumia Show. Sunday night. Love it. A little overcast where I am. Hope it's really nice where you are, and I hope you had a great week. It is June 1st. Oh, finally. Finally, June 1st. Why, Anthony? Summer? June is pretty much, we're in the summertime now. I know technically we have to wait for the summer solstice. But, well, is it because of that? I don't know. Juneteenth? Anthony, are you excited about Juneteenth coming up midway through the month? Well, you damn well know I am, as I am every year. I celebrate Juneteenth. But no. Juneteenth is a close second place. Why get psyched for a single day in June when the entire month we can celebrate gay? That's right. All the gays. This is gay month. Who doesn't love that? The idea that an entire month has been dedicated to gay. It is indeed Pride Month, the Pride Month celebration. Not gay. They don't say it's gay month. They don't say lesbian month. LGB, bi, T, trans, Q, queer, A, plus, whatevs. But they like to say pride because they think that's a good way to slip it past the people that don't believe that a sexuality should have an entire month dedicated to it. So it's pride. I'm like, I'm proud. Most of the things I'm proud of, when I speak of them, they call me a white supremacist. But I am proud. Does that count in June? Can I be proud of some of the amazing innovations made by white Europeans? No, Anthony. What are you doing? You're ruining the whole thing. This is just for gay people. Pride, but it says pride. Yeah. Get with the program. It's like when they say reproductive rights. It just means abortion. But abortion is such a nasty word. So even they know. You can't say abortion, so you say women's health. And you can't say just gay, because that says you're celebrating just one group's sexuality. So you say pride. We're all proud. Someone has, there are many things to be proud of. So why can't I celebrate Pride Month? And again, if I go back to the women's health rights, breast cancer. We love to see money, resources, medicine, doctors, all those things going toward breast cancer, which is women's health care. But then you look into women's health care and, oh, what is it? Oh, it's just abortion. They don't really care about anything else. And like Pride Month, let's just call it, it's Gay Month. This is Gay Month. Welcome to Gay Month. But I must say, what a difference a year makes when it comes to Pride celebrations. Donald Trump is in the White House. Oh, I just heard some people scream and run away. What a horrible prospect that is. They're still trying to get over it. But one thing we will not be hearing about this year are White House Pride celebrations going on throughout the month of June. You will not be seeing this. And we had to go through 4 years of watching the pandering and nonsense and the proverbial shoving it in your face. And when it comes to gay issues, I think I speak for a lot of people when they don't want that shoved in their faces. But last year, let's look at last year, 2024 White House Pride Month celebration. It took place on a Wednesday, South Lawn of the beautiful White House in Washington, D.C. First Lady Jill Biden hosted the event. Oh, could you think of a better person than the good doctor, Dr. Jill Biden? Such a good doctor. She just refused to even comment that her husband was a babbling buffoon for his entire presidency. But the good Dr. Jill hosted the event, which coincided with Equality Day, commemorating the anniversary of 3 landmark U.S. Supreme Court decisions that expanded the rights and protections for the LGBTQ plus American community. Jill was accompanied by her daughter, Ashley Biden. Was she the one that had a shower with her father? Is she the one that had to take a schwitz with her dear old dad? The event was also attended by U.S. Secretary of Transportation. Oh, yeah, Pete Buttigieg. He was there. And his husband, Chasten Buttigieg. You know, you forget it was only a year ago. Years buzz on by, man. Especially the older you get. Years just, there goes another year. But you look back and you think about this stuff and remember it like it was a lifetime ago now. Because all this stuff is so stupid and so embarrassing to the nation. I think we wanted to just shove it away like it never happened. But, hey, I'm one of these guys that does a show, and I like bringing up things that we didn't like to remind people this happened. And you could be pleased as punch that this June we won't hear a word about Pride Month coming out of the White House or any of the cabinet members or any organization. I haven't seen it. I'm on X all the time, not ecstasy, on the social media platform formerly Twitter X. And this year I am not seeing nearly what I saw a year ago, and then, of course, the subsequent 4 years where Biden was president, because corporations are as phony as everyone else. They just see which way the wind's blowing, and they knew for the 4 years Biden was in, it was the gay United States of America, and they kowtowed and catered to and put out all this nonsense that they're LGBTQ friendly. So all the companies would have their logo and they'd have a rainbow color in their logos and they'd post things. Happy Pride Month. We celebrate with the gay communities. And that, while you still see some, believe me, we are not at all cured of this dilemma in this country. But while you still see that, there are way less because companies go, oh, what's in this year? What can we do to show the consumers that we're cool, happening now and with it? And the whole LGBTQ thing just isn't as cool as it was under the demonic Democrat, Joe Biden, whoever his puppet master was, liberal administration. So that's what we got. Let's see what else was happening only a year ago. The event, Pete Buttigieg and his husband come out. It's like the transportation secretary. And a feature performance by, Deborah Cox. Deborah Cox. I couldn't possibly make that up. And I will not elaborate on federal airwaves that are regulated by the Federal Communications Commission. But indeed, Deborah Cox did perform for the Gay Pride Month event that kicked off the Gay Pride Month at the White House. Jill and of course the White House was festooned with gay colors, like the gay flag, the rainbow flag, the familiar columns of the White House were decorated in the colors, the colors. I can't even spit it out. Of the gay flag, and a lot of people were upset by that. It's very rare that you'll see, you see buildings, New York City, Chicago, L.A. Whenever things happen, they light up certain buildings for that event. And I'm sure tonight New York will have the lights on the Empire State Building looking gay as ever. But the White House was rarely ever used for that type of event. And for the 4 years under Biden, we just saw the White House decorated in such embarrassing fashion for Christmas, for Gay Pride Month. And we're just like, what, is this necessary? Is this at all necessary? So I have a list of a couple of things, a couple of Pride Month ideas. This was put out by, I guess, a consulting group for your companies. If you have an office and there's people working there, you might want to play Pride Trivia. Divide your teams up and compete against each other in various trivia formats and mini games. The questions span a wide range of categories and are designed to celebrate LGBTQ history. What is ass? See, that was a Jeopardy type thing. You make up the question yourself out there. I'm giving you people the job tonight. Although most popular in June, the trivia is available year-round and makes a great diversity activity. Could you imagine your superiors in your company, you're busting your hump all year to try to make your numbers, and they decide they're going to do some gay Pride Month thing and absolutely waste time? A dress code. How about that? You just dress up in LGBTQ colors. Wear trans or pride flags, pink, yellow, blue, gender fluid, bisexual, asexual. You could have a day where you have a contest for the best dressed and most fashionable workers. What company is this? Are they successful? I would have to say no. I have to say no. Diversity training, of course, that comes in, but that's constant with these liberal companies. Going on a field trip to LGBTQ historic sites and landmarks. How about the Stonewall National Monument in New York? Governor's Island Monument. Hey, let's take a trip to the National AIDS Memorial in Grove, California. How about that? Hey, everyone, we're going to celebrate AIDS. Do you get your work done? Do you have those TPS reports in? Employees learned the significance of the landmarks and commemorating Pride. I wouldn't mind getting out of the office for a day to do something, but I would try to hit up a bar and just sit out the festivities. How about an LGBTQ plus lunch and learn? I'll have the tossed salad, thank you. You could have a barbecue team where participants make different meals. You could make sure the men only get foot-long hot dogs and the women get clams. That sounds like a fun lunch and learn. Whew. Pride parade, office pride party, pride movie night, where you watch things, I don't know, Brokeback Mountain. You know, it's nice and it's not too embarrassing to be around fellow employees and watch two men in a tent go, and I don't even want to describe what happens after that. And pronoun sharing, email signatures, your business cards. You just talk about your different pronouns. This is what's going on. But already has been going on. This is ancient history now. I see it as ancient history, and I truly believe we have passed that by. It's a nostalgic little bump in the road of getting back to American values and principles and strength. Oh, look at me. I'm a little over. We will be back, though, in a matter of moments, and we'll take your calls, 800-848-9222. More of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Everyone loves talking about Steven Singer, my good friend Steven Singer. You've heard the expression a million times. I hate Steven Singer because most other jewelers hate him. They can't stand the guy. Why, you ask? Because Steven Singer delivers the best quality, real diamond jewelry at the very best possible price every single day. He makes it so easy to buy real diamond jewelry for someone you love. And he makes it fun. Yeah, I'm not kidding. No phony sales, discounts, or pricing games. Steven wouldn't treat his friends any other way. So why would he treat you differently? Steven Singer. He's a jeweler you can trust. Steven also has the best guarantee in the jewelry business, a full 100-day, 100% money-back guarantee, plus fast, free shipping all year long. Experience the difference. Visit our good friend Steven Singer in his showroom at the other corner of 8th and Walnut in Philly, or more conveniently online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Real, natural, rare, earth-born diamonds from a real jeweler you can trust. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. That's IHateStevenSinger.com.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Indeedy duty. Thank you for tuning in on this Sunday evening. Well, you know, it gets more and more difficult. I said it was difficult my first week here when I had to come up with a person that could accurately represent this segment. But every week it gets harder and harder. This week, what a collection to choose from. But we can only have one Clown of the Week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Oh, yeah. This guy has been around for quite some time. Very popular musician. I don't really like their music. But, of course, I am speaking about Bono, the lead singer of U2, man. I've always, musically, I never liked U2. I just didn't get it. I was a rock guy, even in the 80s when they had their biggest popularity, I guess you could say, or at least they began what they would do historically in music. I just never liked their music. I was more a basic rock guy, and that was kind of gay, if I may say, gay. But Bono was always this pompous guy. There was a tour that came around New York once, and the promo was, Bono is shunning the press and letting his music speak for him. And I think I out loud went, ugh, shut up. Letting his music speak for him, man. You're not that deep. All these musicians, I think they're so deep. I'm going to let my music speak for me. Yeah, really? Could you write a quick email, and I'll just read that instead of having to listen to a ridiculously long, stupid, irrelevant song? So Bono was on Joe Rogan's show, and they were discussing the cuts that Trump and company, Elon, have made to organizations, these ridiculous waste, corrupt money laundering organizations like USAID, and Bono just pulls statistics out of his rectum. One that he pulled out said Trump and Elon's cuts on USAID have already killed 300,000 people. 300,000 killed. What? Where do you get that? Where do you get that statistic? But who am I to say? Let's hear it from Bono himself speaking with Joe Rogan in this clip, of course, from Joe Rogan's podcast.
Just recent report. It's not proven, but the surveillance enough suggests 300,000 people have already died from just this cut off, this hard cut of USAID. So there's food rotting in boats, in warehouses. There is this will f*** you off. You will not be happy. No American will, but there is.
I don't really care.
50,000 tons of food that are stored in Djibouti, South Africa, Dubai, and wait for it, Houston, Texas. And that is rotting rather than going to Gaza, rather than going to Sudan, because the people who know the codes or for the warehouse are fired. They're gone. And so this, I don't know, what do you think? What is
I think
that?
you're an idiot.
That's not America, is it?
Well, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Right. This is the problem. The problem is, for sure, there have been a lot of organizations that do tremendous good all throughout the world. Also, for sure,
right,
it was a money laundering operation.
I was just, I don't want to put Rogan in the clown of the week category, although he was being a little over sympathetic to what Bono was saying. But hey, is food rotting in Djibouti and all these other places? Where are the people that are supposed to feed their own people? How many generations of food from civilized Western nations have to go to Africa before someone over there gets a hold on things and takes care of their people? Food's rotting. Well, figure out a way to get the food out of the storage places in Djibouti, and instead of some corrupt USAID criminal organization giving people jobs to do this work, yeah, how about you just take it over yourselves and figure out how to feed your people every step of the way? Apparently food's over there. It's in these storage places. Jimmy the Lock. Jermaine the Lock. And figure out how to feed your people. Enough. And that isn't even why we stopped with USAID and other organizations. It was because they were completely corrupt. And you can't have that just go on and on. Maybe people could figure out a new way, a different way to get money over there. I don't care. Like I said, cut it all off. Figure it out. Let regular people's charities, let rich people, Bill Gates, let them feed the world. American taxpayers are having enough trouble taking care of the insane debt we're in and the problems going on here in this country. Generations we've been feeding a continent that for some reason cannot take care of itself. Done. How about we're just done? Oh, my goodness. We will be back. I'm going to take a few of your calls when we come back. The Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. You want to give us a call? 800-848-9222. Let's talk to Kevin in Long Beach. Kevin, what's up, man?
How you doing, Ant? Yeah,
Good.
I mean they need food in Sudan, but they're killing all the white farmers in South Africa. Go figure.
Yeah, the continent's a mess. It's been a mess for everybody. Yeah, there's great resources there, and we've figured out how to extract them from the ground and the air and the trees and the rivers and the water and the animals. But, I mean, at some point, geez, how long do we have to go on feeding an entire continent?
Well, wasn't Bob Geldof supposed to do that years ago?
And Bono. Bono's another one, man.
And that whole thing was corrupt. They never saw half the money.
Of course. I don't want to play Sun City. Let me tell you something, Kevin. Bono was a big part of ending apartheid. It was about American people, Western nations learning what was going on in South Africa, the minority whites oppressing the majority blacks, and they ended it. And I did a little research. Bono and U2 have played in South Africa twice since apartheid ended. What's that? Over 30 years ago. The last time was, I believe, 14 years ago. So all these people that were, I don't want to play Sun City, all those guys, they just did what they do, like Locust. South Africa's now a crap hole. And then they just go on to the next cause du jour and don't pay attention to the death and destruction they left in their wake.
Right. It's virtue signaling at the worst degree, man.
Indeed,
we sent 152 pallets of food to Gaza. Hamas stole most of it and then sells it back to the Gazans.
Yeah, they're all like, in Africa, it's a huge problem that these warlords, I mean, this was the reason, you watch Black Hawk Down. This is the absolute reason this happened. Clinton sent in the military, American military, because the food was not getting to the starving people in Somalia. The warlords were taking it, selling it on the black market. The people weren't getting it. So Clinton's like, I'm going to send in some soldiers. And that was a cluster F. And, we can't keep trying to fix the problem. It's got to fix itself naturally.
That's right. Skinny's on the roof. Skinny's on the roof.
Still a great movie. Heartbreaking.
One more question for you. I watched your Compound show, and they were showing you firearms.
Yes, sir.
That Desert Eagle, that gun is scary, man. When you pointed it at the camera, that was frightening, man.
The Desert Eagle is a fun...
Did that come out of the Gulf Wars, or is that an old gun and it's just been around for a long time? I've never seen one.
That's it's an Israeli weapon. I bought it years and years ago, but it was brand new when I got it. It's 50 caliber. It fires a 50 caliber round. It's insane. And it's a lot of fun to fire, but it is so impractical. Like, there's really no valid use for it except to make you and your friends at the range laugh your asses off when you explode a watermelon or a cantaloupe with it or whatever. It's a lot of fun. Guys understand these things. Real guys. Like, there's plenty of videos on, it's Compound Media on YouTube is my YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah.
And there's plenty of videos up there that show me shooting guns with my friends. And
I gotta check
it's so funny because you shoot, it explodes, the kick is horrendous, and you laugh. You just start laughing because that's what guys do.
It was like RoboCop when he started shooting at the range, remember?
Oh, yeah. Citizen. You feel like that when you draw that weapon. Thank you, Kevin.
Hold on, one more thing. Have you seen Buttigieg lately?
Well, he's got a beard now, right?
You want to call it that, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's already had a couple in his life, I bet. But, he thinks that's how – the Democrats think that's how they're going to grab up the male vote. They don't get a lot of men, especially straight white men. They don't get them voting for Democrats. And then they wonder why. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But, they wonder why men aren't voting for them when they've emasculated, feminized, and then just criticize straight white men as the worst possible people on the face of the earth. And then they go, why aren't we getting the male vote? Well, look at your bearded transportation secretary.
Yeah, we're all toxic. Don't you know that? We're all toxic.
Of course we are. Good. Just like being a deplorable, I don't mind being toxic at all.
Oh, I wear it proudly.
Yep. Thank you, my friend. Have a good one. There you go. There you go. It's insanity. They just don't understand why men don't want to vote for the Democrats. I mean, put it in simple terms. You're in a group of people, and that group of people does nothing but just lambast you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're the problem for everything. You're intolerant. You're a monster. And then one day, every 4 years, they want you to be their pal. and when you're not, they just can't figure it out. I don't understand it. Why aren't men in our corner? And yeah, it's easy. You've treated the vast majority of people that are critical to the workings of our society, to making sure our machines operate on a daily basis. These are men, and not your special interest group men like we're celebrating this month. And I understand plenty of gay guys, especially ones that aren't flamboyant and trying to shove it in everyone's face and work for a living. They fit right into the same framework there. But it's men that are doing these things. And then to be just crapped on constantly. Yeah, there's going to be a response. And you're lucky it's just us not voting for you. Because in the past, these same men have been a little bit more sensitive about being persecuted on a daily basis. So, I don't know. Let's see if we can take another call there. Okay, this is Rich from Pennsylvania. What's up, Rich?
Anthony, thanks for taking my call.
Pleasure.
I spent 4 years in the Coast Guard, okay? 2 of which I spent on Governor's Island in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I've been tired of Bono's rhetoric since the 80s. And it's the same with Springboard, that bozo, because I'm from Jersey. And I've been tired of his routine since Born to Run. So I would love, as I said to the call screener, I'd like 5 minutes in a locked room with these two jackasses.
I don't know. Knowing them, I don't know. I don't even want to get into what they would probably do to a third man in a room with them. But Bruce has always tried to be the everyman, the blue-collar worker. He made his bones on selling his records to the American working guy and, just a guy that wants to get the good girl and settle down. And the whole act is crap. He is such a liar. And then you got people like, Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren. They talk about this guy like he's the greatest thing, while on the same time, out of the other side of the mouth, they're talking about the billionaires and oligarchs have to be kept in check. And you realize Bruce Springsteen is worth $1.2 billion. Billion.
Yeah.
You think Bruce still lives in working class town in New Jersey?
No, I'm 63 and I'm on Social Security and I'm still a contractor and I'm still roofing at 63. I'd like to have him come out and work with me for a day.
Yeah. Hey, I put a hole in the shingles accidentally. What do I do? Just caulk it? Yeah, do that.
And you're absolutely right about Black Hawk Down. That was a disaster.
Yep.
And it never should have happened.
Never should have happened.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, man. Yeah, Clinton went in half-assed as usual. Oh, they couldn't do that mission with unbelievable American might. They had to do it in dribs and drabs, and they didn't have backup. And then when they tried to call in some F-16s to do some flyovers and chase some of these skinnies away, Nope, can't do that. It was a disaster. We've seen that time and time again. I mean, the withdrawal from Afghanistan under Biden or whoever was pulling his strings, another disaster. And they never really want to acknowledge these things. And then when Trump says, I want to make sure that our military is funded to the umpteenth degree and that there's competent, capable people in there, and we are no longer playing games with transgender officers and gay, outwardly open gay soldiers. The American military is there to kill. That's their job. That's what their training is supposed to be. And if it's training on the technological level, on machinery, on communications, well, all that is just so we kill better. So when you start bringing this nonsense of diversity, equity, and inclusion in there, there is going to be a problem. And it showed for many years. And it's a lack of respect of everyone from the commander-in-chief on down that agrees with these ridiculous DEI policies of putting people that do not belong in the military. Having people that no soldier that is trained to be that killer could ever respect. It's the mindset of the American soldier. There is a mindset that is necessary for them to do their job. And having these feel-good diversity, equity, and inclusion programs is completely counter to how an American soldier is supposed to think during his tenure as a soldier. And God forbid if he has to go into battle at some point, everything that DEI stands for is a negative, absolute negative to what the soldiers have to do. And I am so happy that we have Donald Trump in there, and you know, I understand Trump makes some insanely stupid moves and mistakes, but there are some things that are spectacular that are going on in our country right now, and revamping the military and getting out this experiment, this bizarre experiment that does nothing but weaken our military, which of course weakens the country. We don't need it. Do not need that happening. Chris from Lindenhurst. Is that my buddy? How you doing, Chris?
Nah, hey. Has any artist that took part in the I'm Not Gonna Play for Sun City, has they ever been interviewed about that today? Any of them?
I don't think so. I've never heard a word in decades about that. And it affected a country. It's still affecting a country. And it doesn't look like South Africa, aside from the very few, very small Boer enclaves, the white farmers and the white Boer enclaves, the rest of the country is a disaster. And, yeah, how about we ask little Steven Van Zandt? Instead of asking him Sopranos questions, ask him, what do you think about South Africa now that minority blacks rule the country and minority whites are being targeted? Anything on that, Sil?
Yeah, that or Bruce or Bono or any of the other participants. They've never once, and they will never, for obvious reasons,
of course not,
ever say anything about that. But, you know, speaking of Bono, I've never, and I will never go to a U2 concert, but I will recommend for those that are listening to check out 2U as an alternative. A phenomenal band here on Long Island, and they travel across the country. You save a lot of money, and it is better than an actual U2 concert.
Thank you, Chris. That, of course, is my brother's band that Chris is plugging, but I do appreciate it, Chris. I'll try to maybe get on a video game this year. Yeah. Yeah, we got a little bit of time for this, but I definitely want to spend a little more time on it. Ukraine, the drone attack on the Russians. This is wow. I mean, you look at warfare over the past few years, and what is going on with drones especially in this Ukraine-Russia theater of operations, is just a few years ago would have been unheard of. Drones were these big fixed wing, for the most part, aircraft that were very large. They were launched and flown by very competent, trained drone pilots. And they launched Hellfire missiles. They were used a lot in Afghanistan. But the idea that new drone weaponry are, for the most part, consumer-purchased and consumer-level drones. These are things you could buy from a company, DJI, a Chinese company that puts out what I believe is like the best quality drones out there. Autonomous operation, programmable by waypoints where you want them to go and come back. Of course, if there's explosives on them, I don't think you want them coming back. The old boomerang. But about 10, 12 years ago, a buddy of mine, FBI guy, we got into the hobby of drones, and they were very rudimentary, very, very archaic a dozen years ago. You'd go to Brookstones in the mall to buy these things, and you controlled it with your phone, and it was fascinating and fun, and you'd usually lose it in a tree. They didn't have sensors on them like they do now. And even then, I would talk to my buddy Vinny, and we discuss, like, what will the future of this look like? And I swear I would have thought it would have to be maybe 20 years before we started seeing what we're seeing now. But the ability that a country has, and even a country, when you look at Ukraine, even with the European support and the trillions we gave them, you look and go, well, Russia's Russia. They're not the Soviet Union anymore, but they're still Russia. They have an army and weapons and the will to fight. And you think, how could they possibly win? And with technology like we're seeing coming out of drones, it's possible. It is possible, or at least to put some big damage. This, I think, was one of, if not the most damage they have inflicted on Russians. They took drones, loaded them into the roof. They hid them in the roof of what would be a trailer to a tractor-trailer truck. And it was remote controlled. From what I've read, the truck drivers didn't even know what they were driving. All the drones, explosives, trucks were all built inside of Russia. They didn't have to drive these things across the borders. They were built inside Russia. And they were parked relatively close to some of these airports that Russia had their strategic bombers parked at. Now, these planes are old. Russia these days doesn't really have the resources to replace these planes. They've maintained them for years. These were your old school, put a nuclear bomb in this thing and fly it over the Arctic Circle and drop it on New York planes. Pretty old. And they were able to launch these swarms of drones out of these multiple tractor trailer Trojan horses and do extensive damage. I've heard anywhere from 4, which I think is ridiculous, to 40, which could be, but, average it out. If they down 20, 25 of these strategic bombers on the runways of Russian airports deep, deep inside Russia, that's a problem in every respect. That they lost the weapons themselves. Morale has to be like, oh, my God, they're able to strike us thousands of kilometers into our country. And, their planes burning on the runway. And the idea that they have the potential to do this. Those are bad things if you're at war. You don't want that going on. So what were toys decades ago are now unbelievably valuable weapons that are doing some real damage to a perceived world power by the underdog. So pretty interesting. Pretty interesting stuff going on over there. Anthony Cumia Show. We will be back. We will be back in moments. Stick around. The Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hello. The Anthony Cumia Show. Other things going on. My goodness. What happened there in Boulder, Colorado today? Another mental patient, I guess we can call him. This, I guess, is for a few weeks now, there's been some people in support of Israel, and they have been protesting in Boulder, Colorado, at a place called the Pearl Street Mall. And they're protesting. They want the hostages back. I think we all know the issues now. When you look at Israel and you look at the Gaza, Palestinians, Hamas, I think we all know the issues. I don't have to sit here and explain it to you. So these people in support of Israel were protesting, and some guy comes up. He's been identified as a pro-Palestinian. They're calling him a terrorist. I think it fits the bill. Irregardless of whatever side you're taking in this conflict, I think throwing molotov cocktails at people that are expressing their political affiliation or ideology, I think you could call that terrorism, regardless of how you feel about the problem. So this guy, he goes into this Pearl Street Mall, and people are protesting, and he's got two glass bottles with him, with rags in them. They're full of a clear liquid, crystal clear, like water. And he throws them into the crowd of protesters, severely injuring some people, including children. And then he stands there with a couple of more bottles in his hand as there's fires going on people or on the sidewalk. And he starts spouting off, Palestine and anti-Zionist rhetoric. And what got me was he was shirtless. He's wearing jeans with a belt. And he's holding two Molotov cocktails, which I believe had alcohol in them. It didn't look like the fires on the sidewalk did not look like gasoline fires. They had that kind of invisible fire look. The invisible fire. So that's why I think the liquid was so clear. I think it was just alcohol he put in these things instead of gasoline, which I don't know. It burns a lot dirtier, and I think it's a lot more dangerous if it gets on you. But fire's fire, man. I've seen enough videos. Boy, people don't understand. Once fire gets on you, your whole mindset changes about what's important at that second. Because there are people that try to off themselves by burning themselves alive. And even them, they light up, and then it's like, ooh, this really hurts. I don't think I was expecting the unbelievable pain. But fire's fire. It will sting. So this guy does, and no one at the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, Colorado does anything. Now you could see, because his shirt's off, he doesn't have a weapon, aside from the two Molotovs in his hand, but they have to be lit. You got to light these things. And he was just holding one in each hand. It really didn't look like he could light these things very quickly. And no one was doing anything. He's holding these weapons. Let me tell you what he could have done is lob one of those things at someone who is already on the ground smoldering with people around them trying to care for them. Yeah, I saw that. And that is a definite threat. If he would have thrown it on the flame, he wouldn't have had to light it. So why wasn't anyone doing anything? They stood around. They're recording them on their phones. One kind of fat guy walked up, and another guy that was recording told him to get away We called the police. Well, what is that going to do if he lobs one of these things on a spot that's still burning? What are you doing? So then I did a little research. Yes, I do a little research every so often. I wanted to know the political makeup of Boulder, Colorado. And what I saw, libs. Just a bunch of libs. And then I looked at, do they allow guns at the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder? Like other city-owned controlled properties prohibits, Pearl Street Mall prohibits the possession or discharge of firearms. Boulder has designated various sensitive areas. You're not allowed to bring a firearm, and that's Pearl Street Mall. And open carry is prohibited in Boulder, requiring a permit to carry, but concealed and unloaded. Nothing is more useful than useless than an unloaded weapon. But that's Boulder, Colorado, and no one did anything. We will return in moments, talk a little bit more about this, and take your calls. Anthony Cumia.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, the Anthony Cumia Show. On a fine Sunday evening, thank you for joining us. The latest on the Boulder attack is that 6 victims ranging in age from 67 to 68. But in this conflict, they love bringing the children into it. Because I heard the children were injured and hurt. So 67 through 88. Ooh, boy. 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. 6 victims range in age from 67 to 88, all hospitalized. Suspect ID'd as Mohammed Soliman, 45 years old. Suspect used homemade flamethrower and molotov cocktails, FBI says. Oh, okay. Well, the homemade flamethrower, I didn't see any video of that yet. And he certainly wasn't holding the homemade flamethrower when he seemed to be very vulnerable to attack by the people that were around him. So again, why didn't they do anything? I saw one video, a woman is recording a video and says, I wish I had my gun with me. I would so do it. She said that. But again, in Boulder, Colorado, at the Pearl Street Mall, where this happened, you are prohibited by the government of protecting yourself, your loved ones, your community, with the best tool available to you to do just that. They've determined that you don't need to exercise your Second Amendment right at the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, Colorado, because they have cops. They'll protect you. They have laws. People won't break those laws. They're there to protect everybody. So you don't need a gun. And once again, we see that an armed populace and an armed people that are at this event would have maybe been able to do something. I don't know. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But I'll tell you one thing. If you don't have a gun, it is impossible to shoot somebody. So you'd much rather have the gun. That old saying is so true. I'd rather have a gun and not need it than need a gun and not have it. Let us speak. Where is he? Here he is. John is from Boulder, Colorado. John, what's up, my friend?
Yeah, how you doing, Anthony?
Goodly, goodly. How are you?
All right. You know, the reason all the police in Boulder, they're all undercover. We have FBI, police, DEA, Homeland Security. It all started from the King Super shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know who they are. They're everywhere. So that's why they caught this guy before he could do more damage. And it used to be an open carry here in Boulder, Colorado, until we got this idiot governor, Jared Polis, who's definitely a deep left Democrat, homosexual. Guy's a total loser. And then you got all these people, these students around here. We have 30,000 students in town right now. Mm-hmm. And all we need is people doing crap like this. I was at the King Super Shooter shooting in Boulder.
Yeah. Or just saying that as like a brag?
No, it's just getting ridiculous. The things going on around here. It's just a little town,
The ridiculous thing is that even if they have undercover cops around, an FBI and whatever it is, and they caught him quickly, well, obviously they didn't catch him quickly enough. And an armed populace is there the second something happens. And if you assess what's going on and you see that your life, your loved ones' lives are being threatened, you, as a citizen, as God has given you the right to do, should be able to protect yourself without the government stepping in and telling you that you can't. There is nothing, shall not be infringed is the most important part of the Second Amendment, and much of the other parts of the Second Amendment are argued way too much, and they downplay shall not be infringed, and things like this happen when people are not allowed to defend themselves. Thank you, John. I appreciate the call. The Joe Biden thing, disaster, the fact that he was absolutely in the throes of dementia of some sort, and the Democrats and the mainstream media and Hollywood covered for this guy. It became blatantly obvious the night of the debate with Donald Trump, and then you saw the rats start getting off the ship. The rats saw the ship sinking, and they were trying anything in their power to get off that ship and not look quite like a rat doing it. And it failed miserably. I mean, we all knew that the mainstream media, the propaganda wing of the left, was lying to us about Biden's lack of mental acuity, lying to us about his health, lying to about everything. We know that now. We knew it years ago. Let's be real. I think you would have had to have been pretty... you just didn't have the ability to look at a situation, reason it in your head, and go, that guy's a little off. Something's wrong with him. And we knew, and we were talking about it, and certain news people, very rarely, you'd find a news person that was a conservative, perhaps, alternative media. They were talking about it. But you talk to the media now, like Jake Tapper, who put this book out, they didn't know it all. Oh, they couldn't see anything. They were just listening to what the Democrats and the Biden administration were telling them. So they're totally off the hook, right? That'll get you off the hook. They never told us. Well, we were telling you. Your own eyes and ears should have been telling you. When this Alzheimer's-stricken president veers his bicycle off course to sniff a 7-year-old and crashes his bike. Hilarious, but not quite what you want in a president. When he's rambling at a microphone, standing in front of a podium, and his people are looking at each other through the corner of their eyes going, oh, God, please let him get through this. We knew all this. We were talking about it. But the media, in their job, their mission to cover up whatever was going on in the Biden administration, they didn't know. Well, now we're hearing some stuff, aren't we? This is even worse than I would have imagined. Even a stupid mouse with some mental disease can find the cheese in the maze, you know? Apparently Biden would get lost in his closet in the White House. Listen to this. It's a Secret Service agent was reported to a tapper. It's in the book. But this is how Biden would act in the White House during the presidency.
Listen, I'll tell you something that I haven't said before because it came from a Secret Service whistleblower this past year. I talked to so many of them after the attempted assassinations of President Trump. But this Secret Service whistleblower actually was assigned to Biden, and he told me that Biden used to get lost in his closet in the mornings in the White House. I mean, the guy literally stumbling around in the White House residence couldn't find his way out of his own closet. The president of the United States. I mean, this is outrageous.
How we got through 4 years is amazing. I mean, just got through, that we're still a country. We are still paying severe prices for some of the things that happened during his administration. The invasion over our southern border will never be fixed. That's something now, that's a problem you have to live with. You know, you get older, you go to the doctor, and you go, my knee hurts. And he goes, yep, that knee's going to hurt till the day you drop dead. That's kind of what this is. Yep. Millions upon millions, tens of millions of illegals invaded the southern border under the Biden administration. Sorry, that's just what you have to deal with now. There's no way to kick them all out. Let's be real here. So the fact that he couldn't find himself in a closet is, again, while hilarious, so frightening. You start thinking about the nuclear football. Who's in charge? The auto pen. We're still trying to figure out, at least I think people know, but we haven't been told yet, who was running this auto pen and signing Biden's executive orders and these pardons that he gave out to all of his cronies and his family with a dozen-year retroactive immunity from prosecution. How do you look at that? Someone signed it, and it's really looking like it wasn't Joe Biden. That is some traitorous stuff that really needs to be addressed and gone after with gusto. Here's what Jake Tapper's doing. He puts this book out, and I think he believes he's helping the media to kind of look a little less responsible for lying to the American people. Tapper's blaming Biden's dementia for the border disaster. You listen to this clip, and he'll go about saying something to the effect of, if Biden didn't have dementia, the border would have been secure because all the other Democrats wanted a secure border. But Biden, he's the scapegoat now. Biden was the one, because no one told the Democrats that Biden was going to let all these people in. Again, letting all these Democrats and media off the hook for what we all knew and saw for over 4 years. So listen to Tapper as he tries to put every bit of the border debacle on Joe Biden.
Well, I think you're complimenting it by calling it a policy. Just not to talk about my book again, but one of the things we discovered when we did this book, Original Sin, me and Alex Thompson, is there's a Senator Bennett from Colorado, who went to an event in June 2024 where Biden seemed non-functioning, and he left that event, and this is in the book, thinking this is why our border policy, our immigration policy is such a mess. This guy can't manage the portfolio. There are competing groups within the administration, and he's not engaged for whatever reason, and that's why this policy is such a mess. And I know that the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, he thought there was going to be an order early on in the Biden years, shutting down the border or at least providing more security, and the order never came. So people talk about what are the repercussions of Biden not being what we expect a president to be, just in terms of functioning 100% of the time. This is one of those things. So I think calling it a policy might be a little optimistic.
Unbelievable. He's saying here that it was just Biden. All these other people, Mayorkas and other politicians, they were like, why isn't Joe Biden signing this EO like Trump did day one and stopping this invasion at our southern border? And then they look at him, he's incapacitated, and they go, he didn't sign it. Oh, did they seem upset that he didn't sign it? Did they speak out about it? No, they all backed this nonsense of a bipartisan bill that Trump called. The Republicans said, don't sign because it would make me look good. And he wanted to run for president. Remember the bipartisan nonsense bill that had nothing in it that would have addressed this influx of illegals coming into the country? I remember it. Thank you very much, Jake Tapper. I remember it. But if you listen to Tapper, every single thing that happened with the border was because Biden had Alzheimer's and didn't sign an EO to shut the border down. And they all threw their hands up and said, well, guess there's nothing we could do about it. They all crowed about it. They all loved the fact that our country was being invaded by the tens of millions. So, again, more lies from Tapper, profiting off of a treasonous administration with this book. Back in seconds with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate the support. Of course, Jake Tapper, and the rest of the lot aren't the only ones that have covered up for Biden. Most of them, like I said, like rats leaving that sinking ship, are running for their lives. Tapper's there trying to help them out, and but some of them, and I've spoken about this before, there are members of the Democrat Party that are being used as cannon fodder. These are your most mentally ill of the Democrats, and I believe the reason is they want to push the Democrat agenda that lost them the election in 2024. They want to push it, but they want certain people to do it. People that they know are useless, will not amount to anything, will go no further in the Democrat Party. But it creates this illusion and a reality up until now that they're all nuts. So in a year or so, I believe the party will come up with a candidate, and you might not even know who it is. It might be a name out of nowhere, like Bill Clinton in Arkansas. He came out of nowhere back in 92. We all remember. And whoever it is, will come out and talk about things like border security and law and order and world economics and the United States of America not being the world's ATM machine, never-ending wars, all these things. A Democrat saying these things, even if they also have this liberal Democrat agenda in their platform, after these nuts spouting off for years, this guy, whoever it is, and I think it'll be a white guy, will look like the greatest politician to ever live through forced perspective. He's not a nut, so he looks amazing. And I think that's their strategy. And that's why they haven't pulled the reins back on AOC or Liz Warren or Maxine Waters, all these people. And, of course, Jasmine Crockett. She's the new rising star in the party, and it's hilarious because she's terrible. She's just terrible. She's not smart. She's a racist, and she has no idea how to appeal to the masses. So here's Jasmine Crockett. She's saying that Trump has mental issues. And, listen to this.
If they want to talk about medical issues, we also could have a conversation about Trump, because I don't know what's going on. I know that he's not necessarily the creme de la creme in general, because we know that potentially part of his issues as it relates to Harvard is that, well, he got rejected. So we know that he's not ever been known as kind of like the scholarly guy. We know that he will never be known as this amazing orator as some of our former presidents were. Barack Obama, another one of his favorites, right? We know that that's not his wheelhouse. But we also know that, like, he is, like, next level unhinged. And he's been unhinged since the campaign. Like, the fact that people ignore the fact that he was constantly talking about, the whales or the sharks, and
what
he was talking about, I mean, the windmills. I don't know. I mean, just all over the place.
I don't know.
And recently at West Point decided to talk about trophy wives and decided to talk about his investigations. And then right after the crypto event, he couldn't read the words on the teleprompter. Like, he did not know the words. He couldn't read it. I don't know what's going on. But, like, if we want to talk about something, we need to talk about whether or not he really has the cognitive ability, because he is the current sitting president, and whether or not the 25th Amendment should apply is something that maybe we should be digging into.
Yeah. You know what she said there? You know what the one thing I picked up on that she said a couple of times that I agree with? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, you don't know. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Y'all, she starts getting into the speaking, the dialect, to try to seem a little more street savvy. I don't know. Maybe the 25th Amendment. Oh, really? What about Biden? What about Joe Biden? Did you have any problem with what he was doing? See, here's what they're doing. And again, Jake Tapper in his book is all part of this scheme. Make Biden look bad. Make him take the hit. Say, yes, he did. We were lied to about his mental status and obviously with the cancer, his physical status. We were lied to. So we only reported to you what we were told. Oh, terrible. But they lied to us. And now, watch as they slowly unleash this, Trump. They're lying to us again about Trump's mental acuity. Well, now we're not going to sit back like we did with Biden and lie about his health, because that's exactly what you did. No. What we're going to do is go after him like jackals again, like they did with the fake Russia thing and the trials of 34 felony counts. So they're going to do this to him. Just be aware that that's going to happen, okay? I want to talk a little bit more about this in a couple of minutes. Back with the Anthony Cumia Show in seconds.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, back with the Anthony Cumia Show. And I'll continue a little more with this nut, Jasmine Crockett. Just the hypocrisy oozing off of this imbecile. Now, you just heard before the last break what she was saying about Trump. Perhaps Trump needs a little 25th Amendment action and then she tried to describe things that he did that might be indicative of somebody losing their mental acuity, and it was nothing. And after each instance, she went, but I don't know. He seems, I don't know. Yeah, you don't know. So here's the next thing she was talking about, which was believing that Biden's mental decline was nothing more than a false narrative. She's completely turned both of these things over. And at this point, like I said earlier, Jake Tapper's trying to get you off the hook, dummy. Jake Tapper's trying to help you out here. No one is defending Joe Biden's mental acuity over the past 4 years anymore. They're making excuses. No one told us. If you're part of the Dem Party, you're saying, I was trying to get these things done. I was trying to close the border down, but Joe wouldn't sign the executive order. All more lies. but they're at least they have an out. And there's Jasmine Crockett still in the Joe Biden sharp as a tack camp. So let's listen to her statement on Biden's mental decline being nothing but a false narrative.
Well, the Republicans on oversight have said they thought that Democrats lied and the White House lied to the American people about the former President Biden's, cognitive decline when people saw it for themselves on the screen, whatever. And so what do you say to those who say the Democrats hurt themselves in that whole deal?
I think we did hurt ourselves. I don't think it's for the reasons that you're laying out, but I do think we hurt ourselves because what Democrats tend to do is the Republicans know how to create an ecosystem of commentary, whether it's true or not, right? Because how long have we been talking about the whole Medicaid thing? Like, they will continue to readjust their message, but they are going to have a message and they are going to create an ecosystem of lies, right? And so there were Democrats that fell for it, and we became divided. And that is how it led to this kind of unprecedented moment of Joe Biden stepping down and Kamala Harris running. And so I think that people should have just stuck to their guns about what it is that they knew. Now, obviously, it's not like I've known Joe Biden my whole life, because I haven't. But I can tell you that I literally have had conversations with him, not once, not twice, probably not even 3 times, multiple times. And I never, ever, ever felt like I saw anything that was decline. Now, would I be honest if I said that we don't all decline at some point? Like, there has to be a point, just because we're aging, that there is like a level of kind of fall off that we all have. I think that that's the natural part of aging. It's the same thing that happens with our bodies, right? Like, this is a whole body thing. Like, you probably not running 10 miles anymore like you used to, right? So there is a natural, but does that mean that you're not qualified? Or does it mean that it is so detrimental that it's causing harm? Absolutely not. Because I can remember vividly, when all these stories started to kind of start up, and there was this interview. And actually, it wasn't an interview. It was a press conference. It was a press conference, and it had to deal with foreign affairs. And, Joe Biden, anybody know anything about him, they know foreign affairs is like his wheelhouse. And he was so on point. Like, he understood, like, on a whole other level. And frankly, the rest of the world actually respected him.
Oh, stop.
And it's not like,
all right, cut her
who
off.
The world is.
Oh, cut her off before I have to take some Pepto-Bismol. The world respected Joe Biden. The world respected Joe Biden like a child respects a grandmother when she opens up her purse to hand him money. Thank you. Thanks, Grandma. They don't care about Grandma. They just care about her little dumb change purse. The world respected Joe Biden in that he shelled out more money to more criminal organizations and corrupt nations than any other president. That isn't respect. Respect isn't other world leaders liking you. It's other world leaders looking at the job you're doing to make sure you're working in the best interest of the United States of America. And they can respect that kind of leadership. They certainly, in most cases, won't like it because they're not getting the ATM card that Joe Biden handed out to every country on the globe. So, yeah, you call that respect? They don't even know what the word respect is. And I'm certain Jasmine Crockett has no idea what the word respect means. Oh, my God. And she's trying to say that she met Joe Biden, 3-4 times, and just knew he was totally suited for the job. Look, everyone gets older and slower. Well, then why would you say he should run again? How about that? Oh, you get old, you get a little slow, you slow down. Yeah, why were you all crowing for him to go for a second term? I can understand if that starts happening during your whatever term you're in, Let's say you were fine. You're in your second term. I think Ronald Reagan's a good example of that. By the end of Reagan's term as president, he already was showing the effects of dementia. And people were talking about it. And it wasn't, no one would have thought, and obviously you can only serve 2 terms, but no one would have thought he would have been capable of any office, dog catcher, after his dementia started manifesting during his second term. So for this idiot to talk about Joe Biden, and you get a little old, you slow down. So you want him to run for 4 more years, you dunce? But again, she's just lying. She's a liar. Here's right on the heels of her saying he's great, no mental decline. Here's Biden's part of his Memorial Day speech just, last week. And he does the same crazy Biden things that, even the liberal late night talk shows are making fun of. Check out Biden's Memorial Day speech here, a piece of it.
It's about something profound. Our politics have become so divided and so bitter. All the years I've been doing this, I never thought we'd get to this point. But we are. Our troops don't wear a uniform that says I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. It says I'm an American. I'm an American. That's who I am. I'm serious about this. I'm not joking.
Joking.
And folks, our politics has become, as I said, so divided. They wear the uniform of the United States of America.
We know, yes.
The only nation in the world, literally, not figuratively, the only nation in the world founded on an idea. An idea. Every nation was founded on geography, ethnicity, some unifying principle.
Some stupid thing.
An idea.
What?
The idea of America was founded on. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men and women are created equal. Endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We meant it. That's who we are. That's what makes America the most unique nation in the world.
Yes,
literally,
Joe.
not figuratively.
Literally.
In fact, folks.
Not joking.
For generation after generation, the profound idea
we don't have
has
to
been
listen to the
defended.
whole thing. But, he's like, American, we're a uniform America. No, I'm not joking. Who said you were joking about that? I think we all know that the soldiers, they wear the uniform of the United States of America. I'm not kidding. I wouldn't joke about that. Oh, yeah, we get it. It's okay. I think every family at this point, every American family has had to deal with a relative that has had certain levels of dementia. It's a progressive disease. It does not get better. And I think we all are familiar with some of those symptoms, and Joe Biden just exhibits so many of them. I'm not kidding. I wouldn't fool you. Life, liberty, pursuit of happenstance, pursuit of Happy Gilmore, pursuit of Habba Labba Ding Dong. So I don't know what Jasmine Crockett saw, but if you think this would have been a good guy to have 3 or so, 5 or so months into his presidency, like that's the guy we would have had. He would have been our president. Hey, happy birthdays. I don't know. It is frightening. I don't know. Is it all part of a massive scheme? Are we supposed to believe maybe that we dodged a bullet? Because it certainly looks like we dodged the bullet with Biden, and then of course with Kamala Harris. It looks like we dodged the bullet, but then there's so many things going on and so many conspiratorial stories, and that you go, I don't know, maybe they want us to think we dodged a bullet and that we're lucky we have Trump in there. And believe me, I've talked to a lot of people that absolutely believe every single thing that's going on in the world is a psyop or something that is leading us to believe something that isn't quite true. And growing up, I had an unwavering faith in our government and country, and I was a naive little guy. I wanted to believe. It was adorable. But these days, I don't take anything for granted. I look at everything and stuff I would have said, get out of here. You're so full of crap and that's impossible. And I at least put a little bit into it and go, well, who am I to say? Who the hell am I? I am but a former shock jock. How would I know if they're pulling the wool over our eyes? So just that there is this questioning everybody does in that is the whole thing a plan or a plot. That gets you so you just don't have the confidence that you used to in anything. And that could be the grand scheme of things. Like all the little things to sway your confidence in everything, politics, the shows you watch on TV, the police department, everything that your confidence may be a little swayed on might just be part of what's supposed to be the bigger picture of they don't want you believing in anything. People who have no belief system are very, very easily manipulated. If something all of a sudden looks like it's honest and real, you will gravitate toward it. You will grab onto it and go, oh, finally something real. And then you realize the people that presented that real thing to you are just as full of crap as all the little things that you had no faith in. So I don't know. Am I paranoid?
That's why Jesse Ventura goes to Mexico. Every year I go down to Baja and I go off the grid. I hide my phone. Once I taped my phone to a giant tortoise and let him slip into the sea so I wouldn't have to listen or find out what was going on in the world. That's how I roll. I was a fighter.
We know, Jesse.
I was a governor.
We know that too.
I was a Navy SEAL.
Frogman in Vietnam went on to become what we know as Navy.
Shut up. Thank you for your service.
So I've gotten a little conspiratorial, much like the great Jesse, but I don't know. Now I'm sounding like Jasmine Crockett. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. But it's a little frightening these days. Let's talk to Tony from Clifton, I believe, New Jersey. Hi.
Hi, Anthony. It's a pleasure sitting here nonchalantly discussing the horrors of the past 4 years.
Yes.
And you're making me laugh, though, because
I like that part, too. Thank you, Tony.
Because I sometimes cry when I get sad about stuff, like when people get burned and killed on the subway. That really breaks my heart. But on the lighter side, The Sleeper was a movie that came out in the 70s, and it was a Woody Allen movie. And who would have thought all these years later, I'm sitting here with you, I'm getting visions of the movie, because we're talking about how a leader that we had was really not fully functional, and they kept saying he was. And that was the plot of the movie in The Sleeper, because Woody Allen is this simple little, I think he works in a health food store, and he goes for a simple operation and wakes up 300 years in the future to the United States in chaos, which is kind of what we had. And the leader has turned America into a police state, and anyone who doesn't comply gets their brain adjusted so that they all comply. And Woody Allen and I forgot who was in it with him. Diane Keaton had to sabotage this whole plot to save
Sort of
America.
like Idiocracy did years later. The time travel, the seeing the future, and seeing how this idiocracy that we have now has progressed into what we believe it might look like in the distant future. Yeah.
So, Anthony, all that was left, so this leader, who they call the leader, who was like turned our country into a police state when Woody Allen wakes up after his surgery, his this leader, all that's left of him, he gets killed, or someone attempted to kill him with a bomb, and all that's left of him is his nose. And they're trying to revive it into a full person. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah. Just as long as some part of him is left, we could still say that this is the leader. Yeah, a lot of movies from the past have done that, where in hindsight and looking in, they seem to have almost predicted how insane things would get in the future. And, yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Tony, and I appreciate your support and listening there in Clifton, New Jersey. Thank you. It's, yeah, there's been a few movies like that. Of course, my ability to pull up names of movies is legendarily bad. Legendarily? So, I can't remember their names, much like Tony could remember every single detail of that movie. I think she was reading the synopsis off of Internet Movie Database. But look, even I need time to take a sip of water and clear my throat. So thank you, Tony. I'm kidding. I was only kidding. Give her a cuelo. She'll love me tomorrow. What else are we looking at for today? The Trump, Biden was executed. Truth Social post. This is hilarious. Again, Trump is a troll. From day one, Trump has been an uncontested champion troll. He's good at telling people what they want to hear and be serious about it. He's got plans. He's got policies. He's done things, and people that support him go, good, that's what I voted for. But the other part of Trump is the people that don't like him and his opposition in politics. He will troll them better than anyone. He knows how to use a platform that is so out of his demographic, and was back in 2016 when he first ran. He was working social media like a teen. He knew every aspect of how to get his platform out there, but also how to troll. And the latest thing he's done, this, I want to get the exact post here. Washington, shortly after 10 p.m. on Saturday, President Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social platform. He didn't write it. He just shared it. He was like, somebody wrote this. I'm going to put it out there under my account and share it. Claiming that, and it says, what does it say here? Hold on. Truth Social, from a conspiracy theorist with few followers, falsely claiming that former President Joe Biden was executed in 2020 and replaced with a clone. Come on. This is hilarious. You can't be serious calling out Trump for reposting this. Here's the post. There is no Joe Biden. Executed in 2020, the post reads. Biden clones, doubles, and robotic engineered soulless, mindless entities are what you see. Democrats don't know the difference. So it's not even like the Democrats know this and have planned it. They put this this clone or a mechanical Biden or something out there. But the fact that Trump retweeted it, he knows it's going to get Democrats and liberals and social media people all up in arms. Does he believe this? I doubt it. I would say, and again, who am I to say yes or no? But I doubt it. I just find it hilariously funny. Anthony Cumia's show. We will return in minutes or moments or seconds. Come right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Let's go to the phones. Jacqueline from Brooklyn, New York. What's up?
Hi, Anthony.
Hello.
As far as Jasmine Crockett is concerned, I think she's a graduate of the Kamala Harris School of Public Speaking. That's what it sounded to me from that clip that you played.
Yeah.
And as far as AOC is concerned, I hope they do run her, because then we're guaranteed to keep someone sane in the White House instead of another crackpot.
Well, I think, like I said, if they're actually thinking of running any of these nuts like AOC or Jasmine Crockett or any of them, they have to know it's an automatic loss right there. I think Vance is set up to be the Republican candidate, incumbent vice president running. If things continue on the course they're continuing on, the inflation is down, the prices. Why aren't they talking about egg prices anymore? They went down to the normal level you'd pay for eggs now. There's no more egg price crisis, but no one wants to talk about that. Gas prices. Drive around, unless you're in California, which that's all about Gavin Newsom's taxes and California emissions taxes. That's why you're paying over $7 a gallon in California. But for the most part, you're paying $2 and change, and that change is under 50 cents at a lot of gas stations across the country. The price of energy has just gone down. The inflation numbers are lower than they've been in over 4 years. So run these people. Like you said, Jacqueline, run AOC, run Jasmine Crockett, the same ticket. Oh, imagine the trouncing an AOC Jasmine Crockett ticket would get over Vance and whoever he decides to run with. But it really is, I believe they're putting these people out there to make the Democrats in the interim between elections look insane, so they could put this one person up front as presidential candidate that is much more reasonable, and all the Democrats go, oh, finally, a reasonable candidate. What do you think, Jacqueline? Where'd she go?
I think you're absolutely right, Anthony. I think you're absolutely right.
Of course you do. I appreciate that, Jacqueline. Take care, dear. In Brooklyn. Brooklyn's not that bad a place anymore. Look at all the women calling. Here's Pamela who wants to talk about Jasmine Crockett. Pamela from Jersey, what's up?
Hey, in college, we were given an assignment to do a dialect from the United States. I was given Ebonics. Kind of a cruel joke for a white girl.
How long ago was this? Because that would be unheard of now. That would be considered racist to even allow a white person to take an Ebonics course.
Well, it was linguistics, communications, so we were learning all different dialects from around the country.
Okay.
And you know something? I think even though I got a lot of ribbing afterwards for a long time,
barbecued
I think
ribbing?
I did a better job than Jasmine Crockett.
Yes. You know, she tries to use the street lingo, the street dialect, what might have years ago been called Ebonics, all depending on where she is. And we've seen Kamala do this. I think it's a big thing with politicians of color, as I so nicely say, that they feel they have to appeal to whatever crowd they're in front of. So when someone like Jasmine or Kamala is in front of predominantly white people, they will speak without this street dialect. And then when they're in front of the NAACP or the National Action Committee, Reverend Al's thing, they all of a sudden become very black. There's no other real way to put it, with a lot of y'all and you know what I'm talking about. It's like, you didn't sound like that 10 minutes ago at another conference you were doing up the street. So it's all phony. They're all liars, and we see right through it now. Thank God the events of the last decade or so have really pulled the layers of that onion back and shown us the truth.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, you whip out that free speech. It is the Anthony Cumia Show. Just checked X during the break, and Elizabeth Warren. ICE arrested a student on the way to a volleyball game practice in Milford. Detained people waiting at an immigration court in Boston. And smashed a car window in New Bedford. And the list goes on. Communities are right to speak out. This isn't making us safer. Sometimes administering the consequences of the law isn't just to make us safer. It's the law. You're talking about illegal immigrants in this country, Liz. And for some reason, she can't get that through her head. It must be terrible because she was going to a volleyball game. Who cares? Who cares where the illegal alien was going? Who cares that their window got smashed? It's the law. Aren't the Democrats the ones that are constantly saying that? Oh, nobody's above the law except illegal aliens? They seem to be way above the law. It's what we voted for, honey. And couldn't be happier. Could not be happier. Earlier, I was talking about the lack of men voters that Democrats are just losing their minds over. They don't get it. How does this happen? We bash the hell out of men in this country, and then they won't vote for us. Odd. Well, Scott Jennings, who I definitely believe is an anomaly on CNN. I don't know what they're doing over at CNN. Maybe they realize when it's just all these fanatical liberal extremists on the channel and they just watch their ratings go down. Maybe they need a voice of reason. Maybe. And here's what I believe more than that. Maybe they think they're getting one over on him. Maybe they think that Scott Jennings is the punching bag of CNN, and they need a conservative voice so that when he says something, they can all make themselves sound so smart by debating him and just winning, beating him in a debate. Meanwhile, Scott Jennings has consistently made every single person on CNN look like the blithering idiots that they are. And this is no exception. Scott Jennings, he was asked how the Democrats can attract more men voters, and he puts it perfectly in the least words you could use, but it just shows and he describes exactly what's happening and why men don't want to vote for Democrats. Listen to Scott here.
Why do you think it is that Democrats have had such a hard time convincing men and young men in particular of their message lately, and conservatives have been much more successful at it through Trump?
It's very simple, because they care more about dudes who want to be women than dudes who just want to be dudes. That is the main reason.
Oh, you hear some of the audience? Oh, pearl clutching, hand over mouth. Whoa. Because they just can't imagine that a guy would say that on a news program when, quite frankly, Scott is absolutely right there. When they look at a woman who's trying to be a man, or a man that's trying to be a woman, and completely ignoring the amazing contributions American men, straight men, make in this country, you're going to lose votes. I don't think you really have to spend $40 million to figure that out. Yes, the Democrats spend $40 million to try to figure out why men aren't voting for them. I would do it for half. I'm sure Scott Jennings would do it for a quarter of that. But the fact that they don't know why men aren't voting for them is their problem. How did it get to this point? I recall what used to be called bleeding heart liberals back in what I call the day. Back in the day. I used to get embarrassed. My mother was a liberal during the Vietnam War. I was a little kid, so I used to love going outside and playing Army with my friends. And we would drop some words, about Vietnamese people. Some slurs were used on the battlefield of my friend's front lawn. Maybe the sniper nest that was a treehouse in the family that lived behind us. And you'd throw out some stuff you saw in movies, or you heard from some of the neighbors' kids that came back from the Nam. And when my mother would talk about the Vietnam War, and she was a hippie, I was terrified, disgusted. Don't let anyone find out. Our boys are over there fighting. You don't need to badmouth them. But even back then, the liberals were never trying to feminize men. That wasn't part of the agenda. You could have your idea about what the left and the right was, liberal and conservative, Democrat and Republican. And obviously they were always bashing heads on a lot of topics. But I don't recall the liberal Democrats ever trying to appeal to feminization of men. They obviously supported gay men, but they never tried to say that all men should be like gay men. And we should all be this sensitive, crying. One of the funniest things that ever came out of this insane left-wing movement over the course of the past, couple of decades, I guess. HBO used to do a show that was called Real Sex, and they would show stuff like this. And I think that's where it kind of started. But I remember reading something about you could hug and hang out on the couch watching a movie and even kiss your buddy, your guy friend. It was called a bromance. I swear this was written in liberal publications. A bromance. And it would just conjure up these images in your head that would repulse you. And I would just think of how I used to hang out, maybe drink a little whiskey, maybe smoke a joint, smoke some cigarettes, and watch a movie with my good friend Joe Curry from high school. And it's just like, hey, man, you mind if I rub your leg? That just wouldn't wash. That isn't. And they tried to present this as something that was realistic or at least viable. And no man ever said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Not a one. And they just kept going with this insane narrative that men, toxic masculinity, that men weren't feminine enough. And that's why we were so violent and didn't understand women. And all the things that were put on the negativity of toxic masculinity was the feminization of men. And they might have, with the media at their beck and call, they might have gotten away with convincing some people that that was a thing and it was actually taking off. But men, real men in this country understood this is madness. This is absolute insanity. No one I know thinks like this. And you get a visceral repugnant, vomit-inducing response to some of these ideas that they had. So, trying to convince men to vote for you if you, for quite some time now, have been trying to feminize them, you are really barking up the wrong tree, if I may use such vulgar language. Here's another clip. This one is Joy Behar. And here's she's commenting on the $40 million that is being spent to figure out why men are not voting for Democrats. And here's Joy saying what the money should be spent on. Let's listen to Joy as she sits amongst her gaggle of hens on The View.
You want to know what I think? I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists. Maybe that's
But the stats don't bear that out now that
Thank
you.
you.
Ooh, we're sexist. When did, by the way, basic biology, basic anthropology become sexist? Because that's what it is. We are created as man and woman because it works that way. There are certain roles men have, certain roles women have, certain instincts, the way our minds work. I know liberals hate this, but there are different ways our minds work because we need that difference to survive as a species. It's worked for millennia. And it's worked very well. Do you need intelligence? I don't know. Cavemen seemed pretty stupid. One thing they understood were the roles of men and women, and they adhered to that, the basic biology of man and women and families and getting food, a man going out, protecting his family, getting the food, the woman taking care of the family. These were things that worked for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. And for some reason, a mere couple of decades ago, some idiots decided that was all wrong. and men need to be more feminized and women need to be more masculine, and our brains are exactly the same, and any woman could do what any man can do. And we start seeing women in the military and women police who are completely incapable of doing the job. And people still want to keep this illusion that we are the same and interchangeable. It's ridiculous. Back in a flash with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it is. It still is the Anthony Cumia Show, and I do appreciate all the fine people that tune in on a weekly basis this Sunday. I want to thank the fine people that put on the Bill O'Reilly Show, Common Sense. I was filling in for Bill all last week, had a great time, talked to a bunch of great people, and, I, again, am very appreciative that I was even asked, because being in exile for a good 11 years or so, when you finally come back into the sunlight, it is nice. Makes you feel good. Thank you. Where were we? We were talking about the sexist, men, the fact that they can't be men anymore. And I just don't know what they believe they're going to accomplish by continuing that narrative, like you just heard Joy Behar saying, that teach us to be less sexist. Do you know what their definition of sexist has mutated into over the years? There used to be an impression or image of what a sexist man is. And it was usually funny. It was on a sitcom or something like that. Some guy that was just always bashing women. And that has been bastardized over the course of the years until now. It is now a man who isn't feminized, who isn't opened to weeping openly at the slightest little problem in front of his girl. Let me just say this. Now, I've been around a few years, men, gentlemen. But if you're crying in front of your wife, your dad better have just died. Maybe your mom, too. I'll give you that. Your mom or dad just, and I don't even mean a week later. I mean, you just got the news. And most men would probably shuffle off to a room in the house and be alone with his emotions for a while. But there is very, very few circumstances where a man feels comfortable crying in front of his significant other. And I think that's a good thing to not do. I think it takes away from your masculinity, which is a big part of a marriage. There is a masculine husband, man, a feminine woman, wife. And, you know, you could say, well, holding back your emotions causes all kinds of other problems. Yeah. Those problems are called being a guy. And you don't just bust out crying in front of your girl because you ran out of gas on the street and had to call someone to tow you to a gas station. Whatever it might be. You stubbed your toe. The lawnmower won't work. Honey. You think your wife's going to go, oh, I love this. I love that my husband is crying in front of me. As she stink eyes out of the corner of her eye some guy that she knows damn well wouldn't cry while he's giving it. Well, I won't go into that, but you all know what I'm talking about. That's the man, woman, biological, anthropological scheme of things. Don't listen to what they tell you now. You're going to screw yourself up for the rest of your life. Cry in front of a girl. They'll call you out forever. You'll be like that kid that puked in sixth grade in the cafeteria. Never goes away. 30th high school reunion. Hey, didn't you puke in sixth grade? Yeah, I did. That's going to happen if you puke in front of your or if you cry in front of your wife. 20 years later. Remember when you cried? Shut it. Don't want to talk about it. Oh, my God. Let me see. We'll go to the phones again. Look at another girl, Sandra. Sandra from Jersey. What's up, Sandra?
I was thinking, as you were talking about Bill O'Reilly, I was thinking how I know you wore a jock shock and maybe still are, but you also...
A jock shock. I remember that.
I don't know what...
I've had a jock on. I used to play sports, and a 9-volt battery fell down in there while I was sweating, so the salt water from the sweat. I was indeed, here it comes, a jock shock, Sandra. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyway, what's up, Sandra?
So I wanted to say, I see this other side of you that I really enjoy. You're very, very well informed, very serious, very smart, and I thank you for all that. And you did a great job covering for Bill O'Reilly this week.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. I have to say, I really think you are very, very special. So I went into the city on Friday night with my daughter. She invited me to listen to a comedian named Daniel Ryan. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes,
Daniel,
I do.
Oh, there you go. So I went with my daughter to the city. My husband, who's so protective, gives me a lot of money to take Uber back and forth. But I said, no. I'm going to take the bus with my daughter and go for the experience of the whole thing.
Sure.
So the club is on 46th Street. I have to tell you, I saw so many people, so many that I feel would be voting for Jasmine Crockett. I can't explain what I experienced, but the whole climate, all the people were different than what I I don't want to say. Do you understand what I'm saying a little bit?
Oh, I
Anthony?
completely understand. You know, New Jersey, New York, I do understand where you're coming from, Sandra. And it is true. I don't know how this happens. Jersey's no different than New York when it comes to voting in these morons over and over and over again. And New York, we're looking at Cuomo, who will, I hate to say it, but he'll probably win because they just vote for Democrats. I would love to see Curtis throw that proverbial monkey wrench into the works like Trump did with the presidency. I would love to see Curtis do that with the mayoral race in New York City. But there's just too many of these mental patients that just keep voting in people like Hochul and Schumer, and they voted in Hillary,
Jasmine,
for God's sake, back in the
Jasmine,
day. Yes.
I feel the people that I saw on Friday night, you know, people with their pants practically off, you know, and all these really
wink, wink,
very,
Sandra.
very,
I know what you're trying to say.
you know what
Of course. Know what I'm saying? Yes, I do.
But
Sandra, thank you. I appreciate it. You're one of the good ones, as they say. Thank you, dear. There she goes. Sandra's a caller to the show many times. We appreciate Sandra. Oh my God. We got like a minute here to go before. I love being pressed for time. That's one thing Anthony loves on these shows, being so used to a dozen years or so in internet radio. Being pressed for time is something Anthony loves. And talking about myself in the third person. I want to talk about, I'll do a teaser. That's what radio's all about, right? I want to talk about Trump and this Diddy pardon conversation he had and how people are losing their minds. And I guess I could preface it a little bit by saying Trump will say things and be absolutely clear in what he's saying. And the lying media and the Dems will just continue to misquote him, leave things out, add things in. And it's what I call abominable. So I want to talk a little bit about that when we return in moments with the Anthony Cumia Show. Stay right there.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome. Anthony Cumia Show. Happy Pride Month, everybody. To celebrate, I've removed the chair portion of my office chair for a month. I put it on the side. I'm leaving the wheels and the rest of it to celebrate Pride Month. Trump, they asked him a question. Again, they ask Trump these questions. When he gives them the answer, then they're like, oh, they freak out over it. This is a legitimate question and answer. Look, Trump has been handing out some questionable pardons. And I believe it, too. I don't like some of the pardons he's putting out there. I don't get the like gangster, rapper, thug guy pardons that he puts out. I don't know. I love the music. It's wonderful. When Melania twerks, I love it. But I don't get it. Does he have a motive there? Is he just trying to appeal, maybe? Does he think that he's going to appeal to minority voters by pardoning some of these hardened criminals of color? Maybe. I know there's one he recently did that was getting a lot of heat until people realized what it was really all about. There was a guy, he was federally charged with murder, got a couple of 100 years in prison. He was also tried and charged in a state case for the same crimes. So Trump's like, yeah, I'm going to pardon this guy from his federal crimes, but he still has to serve 200 years on the state charges. So in essence, it doesn't really do anything. I think the most the guy can accomplish from this pardon is that if he ever comes up for parole on the state level, he doesn't have to worry about having a federal 200-year sentence over his head. But I doubt anyone's going to pardon this guy on a 200-year murder sentence. So maybe Trump did that to go, hey, look at me. Love the black people, love the Mexican people. And he just does that so that maybe he could put it in an election video, even though he's not running. I understand, but he'll be campaigning for other people, and maybe some inner city politicians that he wants to win. He'll go, look at me, freeing the black rappers. So I don't know. Maybe. I'm just working on it in me head. So they asked him if he would pardon Diddy. Now, P. Diddy, this is one of the most uninteresting cases. I think they wanted this to be another trial of the century, OJ style. Even Casey Anthony was a big trial. People just like that. The Menendez brothers, they call them, the trial of the century, and everyone's fixated on it, and they all have their theories, and they listen to the testimony, and they have differing opinions. It's great. But no one cares about this. And I believe it's because no one likes Diddy. There are people, even the people that knew OJ was guilty, we had liked him at some point. He was very personable. His commercials were nice. He was very non-threatening, oddly enough. Turns out he gruesomely murders 2 people. But no one likes Diddy. It's just, I think even beforehand, before the charges came out, much like Harvey Weinstein, everyone in the business knew this guy was a piece of garbage. And they were just waiting for the shoe to drop because they knew this guy was committing crimes. So when it finally happened, it's not that big a surprise. Like OJ, my God, was that a surprise. OJ, great guy. Buffalo Bills, Heisman Trophy, Naked Gun, the Hertz commercials. Murderer? It happened that fast. Like there was nothing in between. We didn't hear anything about OJ being anything but the greatest guy ever. And then, he's a double murderer with a knife, like personal blood on you murderer. Diddy, we're just like, yeah, this guy's a piece of garbage. He deserves everything he's going to get. And hopefully, they throw the old book at him. So no one, no one's watching the trial isn't televised. Obviously, look, I know that's a big thing too. If the trial was televised, people would be watching it, and I think they'd be a little more interested, but not so much in we like Diddy, and that's why I want to see the trial to make sure he gets a just trial and he's not oppressed by the racist justice system. This is just pretty much putting stuff out there because we read about it in the paper the next day, and it's just explaining what a piece of garbage this guy was. I mean, literally trafficking people. And then there's the underage girls, and there's the rapes, and then the sex for record deals with guys. These hard guys you'd think were these tough rappers and whatnot, and they're trading their manhood for some kind of a Diddy sponsored record deal. It's just too disgusting, too perverse, debaucherous. And again, we don't care about Diddy. So Trump was asked if he'd pardon him, and this was his answer. Here's
Apprentice. You mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, he sort of that relationship busted up. From what I read, I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So I can't, it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Now, obviously. Oh, that Trump. He is a bit of a narcissist, you know. And again, I love Trump. I voted for him. I'd vote Trump 2028. I'd vote for him a third time. But look, the accusations that Trump is a narcissist are 100% accurate. Not a bad thing when you're the president of the United States. There are certain attributes that people need to have to be the president of the United States. First of all, to even run for the job is narcissistic. Who actually believes, yep, I'm suited to be the leader of Earth? Because that's pretty much what you are. You're leading Earth. Yeah, I think I'm cut out for that. That is one of the most narcissistic things you can imagine. The president of the United States. I'm running the whole show. The big country over here, not some little country off the coast of some crap hole. This is the United States of America. People come to me constantly. Yep, that's me. That's the job I should have. So it's a narcissistic position. Now, Trump also does this thing when he's asked one question, he wants to show how great he's been. Another narcissistic thing, but it's a political thing too. When politicians are asked questions about something, they will spend the entire time answering it, just saying how awesome they are and how great a job they did. And here's my accomplishments. And one thing they won't do is answer the actual question. So they're worse than Trump. Trump at least spouts off. He talks himself up. He's his own hype guy. And talks about what amazing work he's done. But then he answered the question. And his answer was, after saying, he liked me once, don't think he likes me now. It's pure Trump. It's too funny. But he said, yeah, I'll look at the facts. And if he was mistreated. Now, you are talking to a guy that, I don't know, I believe had the worst case of lawfare committed against him than anyone has ever had. This is a guy who had the entire justice system of the country with the backing of the sitting president, his administration, the prosecutors, everybody, the judges, against him for nothing more than the fact that he was the opposition candidate. So I think maybe he might have it in his head that if someone asks me if I'm going to pardon someone, I'm not just going to say no before the guy's trial is even over. Especially, he's not picking and choosing. We're talking about Diddy. The guy's garbage. He's garbage. And even in that case, you go, hey, was he mistreated? Was this trial, was it a big lie? A travesty of justice? If you want, if the question ever comes up where Trump would have to consider pardoning him, I'm certain he would look into, or at least have his lawyers look into some of the legalities that went on during the trial. Was he given all the rights he was due? Everything that goes on in a trial that might bring about a mistrial, or did anything like that happen? Because Trump went through that. He saw the January 6th victims, the real victims, the people that were imprisoned for decades, their sentences before they got pardoned, on a crime of pretty much trespassing, if not some really minor assault charges. But for the most part, it was trespassing, and never should have merited 2 decades of time in a prison in solitary. They used the word insurrection. They threw that around a lot, and not one of these people were actually convicted of insurrection. They couldn't really find anything that these guys did that would merit these insane sentences. But Trump looked at that and said, yeah, this is a travesty of justice. These people are political prisoners being used by the administration in power to try to scare the hell out of anyone that might want to rise up and protest and demonstrate, and even get a little physical with the current administration, but not to the extent of 20, 30 years in prison. So when Trump says he'll look into it, and what did they do? Trump considers pardoning Diddy. Well, I guess if you want to put it that way, and we're talking semantics, maybe. But truth be told, it's only going to be if they really screw him over. And I don't even see how they could do that. The guy, thank God I'm not a judge or the jury, because I just think this guy's guilty as sin. He's a piece of garbage. I think he destroyed so many people. And you want any evidence of that, just look at Justin Bieber. That poor bastard's walking around in a coma. He couldn't put more disturbing prison-like tattoos on his body, cut his hair. He's just in this self-hatred, self-harming mode. And I think that was all due, my personal opinion, based on what I've seen and heard. A lot of, I don't know, reputable, maybe not reputable. They're all kind of pieces of garbage in that circle. But you could believe what they were saying about this. And I think Justin Bieber was abused horribly by Diddy and by a lot of these Hollywood people. We saw him on award shows, and this old lady's trying to make out with this kid. And he was visibly disturbed by the whole thing. But the things that I believe went on in that circle, that Diddy circle, with Bieber and who the hell knows how many more young kids, is absolutely criminal. And Diddy and many, many more of these pieces of crap should pay a big price for what they've done. Rose from Florida.
Oh, my goodness. I love you, Anthony, but I need to talk to you.
Yes,
I need to tell you this. Well,
talk to me.
We got to talk about the Diddy thing. Right. And I need to tell you this. He's been a rapist, okay? Let's do it. Let's say it like that.
Hey, let's spit it right out there. Call a spade a spade. He's been a rapist. I get it.
I love you. You're my type. Okay. I'm my father's son as well as my mother's daughter. But you know what bothers me most?
Happy Pride Month.
I called you last week, but I need you to know something secretly about my background.
All right. Everyone tune out. Don't listen. Everyone that's listening right now, don't listen. Rose has to tell me a secret.
Say
okay, go ahead, Rose.
Well,
they're all not listening.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I shouldn't say this, but I worked on the Hill. Okay?
Capitol?
On the Hill. Yes.
All right.
But I like to call into you because can I tell you why?
Yes.
I'm talking to you. You are so real.
I am real.
Me. But I was brought up in Pennsylvania. Then I moved to New York, and then I worked for the most famous person in real estate that you could ever imagine.
Donald J.
And then I cannot say it.
Okay. Real estate.
But
Rockefeller?
I will.
Rockefeller.
I will.
John D. Rockefeller.
Close.
Oh, I'm close. Another Rockefeller.
You're close.
All right. Anyway, Rose, you worked for a...
Listen, I climbed up the goddamn Rockefeller Christmas tree. It was wonderful. And I had the most view down at the skating rink. But I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
P. Diddy,
yes.
I want to know something. And I'm a woman, and you know damn right. Why does a woman stay 10 years with a person like that?
I never understood that.
I need to say something. Anthony, I admire you for saying what you have to say. I love you to death. You are so freaking smart. And guess what? So am I. But, I just never made it. But, I taught at NYU, and I was on the Hill, and I think I did.
You.
But now I'm enjoying my life. But
I'm glad for that, Rose.
By the way, I did radio for 5 years out of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Boy, you are a jack of all trades, a Jill of all trades, Rose, as it were. I appreciate your call. I do have to move on, though, and we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back. Thank you, Rose, for calling. We do appreciate Rose. I'll be back in moments with the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. This Sunday night. Gotta love Rose, right? From Florida, and Sandra, and all the girls that call. Boy, I hearken back to the days of WAAF in Boston, the Opie and Anthony show. We used to have something called a rock bus. The rock bus was a giant motorhome, and we would take it to the concerts that were going around. It was all the biggest bands of the 90s, Pearl Jam and Godsmack and Soundgarden and Rage Against the Machine. And just amazing. And the girls would come into the rock bus and ask us to sign various very sensitive parts of their bodies. And me and Opie would laugh, and we'd sign, and we'd take pictures, and it was awesome. Now Rose from Florida calls about Joe Biden. Rose, don't take this personally. I adore the time we spent together on our Sunday evenings, but when I think back to that one Rage Against the Machine show and the two fans and a Sharpie, just saying. But thank you, Rose. We do appreciate it. Another big story, of course, the trans athletes. This is, oh my God, when in the hell are people going to get a little common sense with this one? Common sense. Transgender student athlete medals in California track championship amid protest scrutiny from Trump administration. So Saturday, a track and field final, they had this transgender, a boy who decided they're a girl, and then got onto the Huarupa Valley High School junior competition for, what is this for? High jump, long jump, and triple jump. And, of course, this transgender woman medaled in these. And this always happens, and people seem to think it never happens. It's just as legitimate as if it was just girls, because this person is just a girl. There's no difference between a boy who says they're a girl, puts on the clothing, grows the hair, or wears a wig, and puts the makeup on. They will tell you there is no difference whatsoever between that person and a woman. They don't even like when people say trans woman. No, just woman. Well, this is insane. This is insanity. I believe that you should be able to do whatever the hell you want to do with your life. If you're a dude and some reason daddy hit you too much, mommy didn't pay enough attention to you, and you believe now that you're a woman, who am I to say you can't do that? Go out, live your life as a woman. But it's this push to make us accept that you're a woman. Be a woman. Do whatever you need to do as a man to be a woman. I am not going to play along with pronouns. And when I see a obvious man, this guy's 6'2", he's standing on the subway platform in a dress and heels with a wig on, 5 o'clock shadow, makeup. I'm not playing along. What is this, a game? What game are we playing? A house? I'm supposed to treat you and address you by the proper terminology that you're a woman? Ain't going to happen. Just isn't going to happen. And that's the issue. I honestly believe enough Americans are very tolerant as to what other people want to do with their lives. And if you're just walking down the street, a brawny guy dressed like a woman, I'll get a chuckle, and then that's it. If that's all I have to do, I'm good. But when you start getting men in women's sports and then saying, well, it's only a fraction. How come only 8 people, and you're making such a thing about it? You know who cares? The girl that isn't getting the scholarship because a guy is now winning at her sport. That matters. I don't care if it's one. This girl's family brought her to whatever practice she had to go to, figure skating or track and field, whatever it is, brought her whole life from 4 years old. And the dream was that at some point, maybe the Olympics, a scholarship to college for the sport that she's doing. And because a man wasn't good enough to compete with men, and coincidentally enough decides they're a woman, they win. And I don't care if it's 1 or 1,000,000. You are taking something away from a girl that worked her entire life to do something and achieve and get that gold medal and win the events at high school and college and get the scholarship. So that's the problem. All the liberals now are saying, who cares? It's 8 people. Why are you making such a big deal of it? Tell the father and the mother that drove these girls to their practice week after week and put money into the training and equipment, and then have them go, yeah, it's only 8 men competing against. Sorry, your daughter is one of the girls that they competed against, but it's only 8. That's the problem, people. We will be back next week. I adore you for tuning in this week. Tell your friends. We'll be back next Sunday with the Anthony Cumia Show.